Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, Michael with One Mic Out, and it is a beautiful Monday afternoon here in the panhandle of Florida. April 19th, and the world is still absolutely insane, and it's just going to progressively and perpetually continue to get even more insane day by day as long as we let it get that way. In terms of the more you just sit and browse the internet webs and all that kind of stuff, the more crazy stories you're going to read, the more crazy stuff you're going to come across, and then your opinion of the world is going to obviously be reflective based off of what you read and what influences your train of thought, what influences the way in which you perceive the world around you. So we got, man, I'm telling you, it's like they went cue the mass shootings. So now everything is labeled a mass shooting now. So it's not just it's like if it's like more than one person, it's a mass shooting, and it's like um man, I'm telling you, it's like Order 66, Star Wars, where like all of a sudden Palpatine took control, and they took out all the Jedi. And so excuse me. And that's what it seems like now. Biden gets in office, and it's like all of a sudden all these mass shootings, and it's like more cop shootings. And like I said before, they're going to exploit the absolute hell out of any sort of white Caucasian police officer involved in any sort of ethnic criminal or suspect, and anything that goes wrong, which in those situations, it's a very volatile situation when if you are in police, the law enforcement, if you're in that line of work. I mean, I'm talking about like if on average every single day, the thousands upon thousands of arrests that are being made, of traffic stops that are being made, of phone calls that are being made that units are getting sent to for whatever disturbances, for domestic violence, for sexual assaults, for robbery, whatever the hell it is. Something out of all of that, we're a nation of 300 plus million people, and to police, provide law enforcement for that many people, that's a pretty tasking that's a pretty tasking thing, in and of itself. And so to expect it to go right every single time. But this day and age, again, everyone wears recording devices. They wear everything that can kind of show exactly what happens in every single thing. And so we're able to dissect what happens. We're able to put a microscope on all the cases where it's a white on black, a white police officer killing a black person, or someone who is not of white Caucasian color. Um, and then the media is able to spin that and throw some propaganda behind it, and then manipulate and thwart your thinking and your ability to think for yourself. My thing is this: I don't like. I'm not here to say who was right or wrong in any situation, because ultimately someone ended up dying, and so the person that ended up dying, they're not here to tell us their side of the story or things like that, or what their tragic sob story is that led them to make the decision that they made, to where either the police were called on them, or they were doing something to garner the attention of the police, to where the police are now approaching them. And in the climate and the atmosphere that we live in today, if I were black, if I were of that color, where I am saying, hey, I'm getting targeted, I'm getting persecuted against, there is definitely a crosshair on my back, where essentially, I have to walk on eggshells, um, in the world in which we live in. And it's easy to say, well, no one should have to walk on eggshells. And that's 100% correct. No one should have to, but we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a world that is not. There's stereotypes, there's profiling, there's those things, those human instinct, or those human traits. Those have been going on, shits for thousands of years. And you're not going to stop it. You're not going to stop someone from stereotyping or profiling someone. Again, going back to something I talked about earlier, in an earlier episode, if you will, where we should embrace our differences. We don't want to all we don't want to all be the same, because that's just boring and that sucks, and that robs us of who we are. Um, and that robs us of our uniqueness, if you will. We should see color. We should see one another for who we are. But and in a perfect world, you wouldn't have any sort of um, you wouldn't have any sort of groups that were getting persecuted against or judged or anything like that. But we don't live in that perfect world, and quite frankly, we'll never live in that perfect world. Discrimination is a thing, and just unfortunately, everyone's been discriminated against. I don't care what color you are, what race you are, what gender you are, whatever. We've all been discriminated against or persecuted against at some point in our lives. Um, but going back to what the focal point is right now, which is if you believe that your ethnicity, that you are being targeted. So I'm just going to go ahead and be blunt about it. If you were African American, if you're black, and you believe that the police are targeting you, let's just the hypothetical is, then if you believe that there was a group of armed individuals out there that were looking for an excuse to shoot you because they don't give a shit about their own lives getting thrown in the media and drugged through the media and thrown in jail, and their livelihoods are screwed up because you think they're making these racist decisions and they're out to get you, then why would you ever do anything to give them a reason to have that power over you? Yes, we don't live in the perfect world. So I can get a lot of people that say, well, this should do this and they should do that. Well, apparently that's not happening and it's not going to happen. What I'm getting at is, yes, you can argue until you're blue in the face that police officers and, any other authorities, the border patrol and things like that should not discriminate. They should not profile. They should not yada, yada, yada. Well, okay, they shouldn't, but they do. It happens. All right. Um, if I go into a certain part of town, regardless of what city I'm in, we all know the bad parts of town to go into, and we all know the good parts of town to go into. We all know that the bad parts of town, the where all the riffraff happens, a lot of the riffraffers dress a certain way, they carry themselves a certain way, they conduct themselves a certain way. All right, so you're going to profile them. You're going to put that in your head. That's going to be imprinted in you. Going, I'm going to associate baggy pants. I'm going to associate boxers showing. I'm going to associate some certain types of tattoos. I'm going to associate the way people act and their body language and their demeanors. I'm going to associate that with being bad. I'm just not going to want to deal with that. That's not an area I'm going to go. I don't even want to chance it because run the numbers. Chances are something bad could happen to me in this part of town. So I'll go to and stick to the better parts of town. All right. And on that same note, it's the same concept in terms of if you believe that you are being targeted, regardless of the group that's targeting you, then why would you then put yourself into a situation to where something bad can happen to you if you were to be in either that part of town voluntarily, or you were to, for example, if you're just some dude on the street, African American on the street, and if you know that, hey, the police are just fucking, man, they just go out there going after us, man, then why would you overtly do something or make a decision to where a phone call could be made that now sends them closer to me, to where now I have to make a decision. Am I going to comply, which you should, 100%, because why put your life in the hands of someone else, of another individual, especially the police? And again, this isn't an argument of who's right and who's wrong in this, but when you are a 13-year-old kid and it's 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, and you're doing whatever the fuck, first off, where are your parents? Why are you not home? Why are you sneaking out? Why aren't you not in bed to go to school the next day? Why are you out doing shit? Well, no, you're part of a gang. There's mistake number one. Mistake number two, you're carrying something that low light looks like a weapon, is a weapon actually. An airsoft pistol is a weapon. All right, and then you flee. And so now what you're doing is you're now putting your life into the judgment ability of that police officer. So you're now saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and pass my well-being. I'm going to place it in your hands by running, and I'm going to rely on your decision-making abilities and that you will not kill me, even though I'm running from you. Yes, you're a 13-year-old kid. You can argue that. But the problem with that is, where were the parents? Why is this kid out? Why is he not at home? You see what I'm saying? So the third and fourth order of effects of things, the decision process, the decision making abilities of, yes, I know a 13-year-old kid. You have a police officer. Well, police officer at night chasing somebody. You're not discerning age at that point in time. Someone's running. All right. You just apprehended and detained an individual who did have a weapon on him. All right, who they found, and now you have to assume, and the police officer saw in the hand of a 13-year-old kid, which he didn't know was a 13-year-old kid at the time, what looked to be a pistol, which ended up being a pistol, even though it's airsoft, it's black, it's low light, it's dark, it's night out. You have no idea. It's in Chicago, like it's in one of the most murderous cities in the world, and all these people, armchair quarterbacks, are like, nah, the cop, he freaking executed him. You know what? I'm not here to have that argument or that debate. I'm not even going to say what my thought is on who was right or who was wrong. But what I will point out is, had that young man been at home, had he not been on the street where he should never have been, had he made better decisions due to an upbringing in the home, then he would be alive today, 100%. I'll put it this way. Everyone wants to either blame the police officer when it's a white on black, but they're not blaming the gun. They're blaming the police officer. Although even though he used a gun to kill the suspect. But it's not a gun issue. Because why? It's a police officer. So now it's the person. If a person were to walk into a pound or into a puppy shelter and with a freaking AK-47 and just kill all the puppies, it wouldn't be a gun issue. All right. They would be like, how dare this person, who's this deranged person that walks into a pound or a puppy shelter and kills all these puppies? How dare this person? Man, what a sick individual. But when it comes to someone using an assault rifle, an assault weapon to kill multiple people, all of a sudden it turns into a gun argument. It's the gun. We're blaming the gun only when it fits the narrative and the agenda. See what I'm saying? They wouldn't talk about, man, ARs are bad because they can kill multiple puppies. No, people, human beings, we like to look at puppies. They're cute, cuddly. So everyone's going to be so pissed off, they're going to want to go after the individual. But when it's humans and when it fits an agenda, then it's a gun debate. And going back to this with this police officer, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to, man, where are we? Where are we? Is it a gun thing or is it a person thing? Because in this case, this police officer, it was his decision making, and then he was just using the tool, which was the gun, and he made a potentially bad decision in putting down that 13-year-old. But at the time, he didn't know he's 13. He has to make a split decision. He's saying hands up, hands up. Kid turns real quick in a real rapid motion back with his hands up. All right, where you can, if you're trying to say the cop should have made a better decision. Well, the kid as well, again, we didn't know he was a kid right in the beginning. That individual could have made a better decision where he could have just put his hands straight up in the air and then listened to the commands of the officer at that time. All right. Yeah, it's a shitty situation. It's very volatile because you're playing off the nervousness of a police officer, the nervousness of the individual. So everyone's nervous in this situation because I don't care. People say cops are trained. They're trained. Yeah, but when you're in the moment, when it's game time, like Jesus Christ, you want to know all the adrenaline that's going through you, the rush of the moment that you have to negotiate in your head of holy shit. Like you have a split second to make a decision, and it's your life or it's that person's life. And so that in your head, you're going, am I about to die as a police officer? And then the criminal, he made the decision to run. So at that point in time, he has to be thinking, shit, did I just make the wrong decision? Am I about to die? See, so it goes both ways with, well, the police officer should have made a better split decision. Well, the kid, the individual in this instance should have made a better shit ton of decisions prior to that, but in that moment, a better split decision as well. You can go all day long. You can go both ways with it. So you can't knock the one without knocking and not knock the other. You got to knock them both if that's the case. But the fact is, this individual could have made much better decisions. Should have never been on the streets in the first place that late at night. Just shouldn't have. But he was part of a gang. Shitty situation. That cop, shitty situation. Because Yeah, I watched the video and it's freaking gut wrenching because a 13-year-old kid's getting shot by a cop who, you can clearly see the kid has his hands up, but that in a freeze frame, the shit, his hands are up for eternity. It's easy to freeze frame something and say, see right here, circle right here, his hands are up. Okay, like that's in a freeze frame. But when he turns in a rapid motion like that, you don't know, how easy it is for someone to shoot, just underneath their chicken wing, all right back at you, and so it's a scary situation for everyone involved. And unfortunately, it was another loss of life. And yes, unfortunately, it just happened to be a white police officer and a African American teenager, and just a shit situation. And even more shitty is everyone's like, defund the police. Well, yeah, let's defund them, and these things will happen even more. Yeah, there needs to be definitely a lot more training. Trust me, I'm a big advocate of that. It's a shitty situation. It really is. But I don't think police officers out there will, purposely shooting suspects, regardless of what color they are, just because they have a racial hatred towards them. Because, I mean, look at the fucking news. Look at all these police officers' lives that have been ruined by being placed in that situation because of fucking 911 call. Dispatch sends them somewhere, and then they have to make a decision. And they're dealing with some fucking unruly, fucking non-complying piece of shit, regardless of what race you are, on a day in and day out basis. And then their careers, their lives, their livelihoods, their everything is getting thrown into balance based on the split decisions that they have to make in a very volatile and a very fragile situation. And the fact that people only will see that, like today, today, fucking New York Post puts up where there was going to be a BLM rally for a carjacking suspect. A BLM rally for a carjacking suspect. Because why? They thought he was African American. But then they canceled it when they found out that the carjacker was white. So you tell me, what agenda are you trying to push here? Are you trying to push like legit, like no shit, this is the law, we got to keep it balanced, this is the system, or are we just pushing an agenda? Like, are we promoting like justice, just equal justice across the board in this country? Are we promoting the get rid of racism? Like, if that's what you're promoting, then you can't fight racism with racism. Like, you can't have it both ways. And if you do, that's what's going to create more division. And the fucking Democratic Party is 100% on board with more division because that creates cash. It creates cash. So, I mean, I'm telling you, it's an agenda that, I mean, it was like the moment Trump left and Biden came in office, it was like, cue the mass shootings, cue the more white on black cop shootings and crimes. And I mean, I'm telling you, in my opinion, it goes deeper. It goes a lot deeper than this. But we won't talk about that right now, but I'm telling you, and it's not, I mean, I've been judged so many times with commenting on something on Facebook. They're like, oh, you're just saying that just because you're white. I'm like, thanks for using my skin color against me. Like, but they don't see that. They don't see like that they're like the fact that they're being racist, but because just, it only exists for one color apparently in a lot of people's heads, and it goes both ways. Stop judging each other based off of the color of your skin. Stop making stupid decisions. Like, regardless, I've had plenty. How many friends? I'm from fucking. I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah, and how many of my friends? I was in a high school that had like 3 black people. The All Reds. I remember that was like it because they were adopted, and adopted by a Mormon family. All right, and they were automatically the star football players. They were the star everything. No one gave a shit about skin color in terms of like in a bad degree. Everyone thought they were cool because everyone idolized pro athletes at the time. Everyone idolized Michael Jordan. Everyone idolized, I'll say Karl Malone because of Jazz, and everyone idolized football players. Everyone wanted to be Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Deion Sanders in those days. They wanted to be Michael Jordan. They didn't want to be Charles Barkley because he was fat. But what I'm getting at is Yeah, even though they were making these presumptions based off of the color of someone's skin, it wasn't in a negative connotation. It wasn't out of malice or hatred. It was like literally like you look like my idol. I went on an LES mission to the Yucatan Peninsula, and everywhere I went, I was blonde hair, blue eyed, and everywhere I went, all these little Yucatecans, all these little Mayans, all these little Mayeros, were like, Nick Carter, Nick Carter, Nick Carter, or Los Backstreet Boys, and I wasn't like, you racist little shit. How dare you? How dare you? Come here so I can slap you on your head. No, no, I was flattered. It was flattering. Just like if a gay guy hits on me, I'm flattered. I'm not like, get the fuck off me. No, bro. It's flattering. So it's the way in which we receive it as well. You choose to be offended. You make that choice. That is your choice. You choose to be offended. It's not you are offended. You chose to be offended. You chose that emotion, that emotional response. But I mean, I'm sorry if I saw someone who looked like Michael Jordan, which it's going to be a black person, I'd probably be like, holy shit, that looks like Michael Jordan. And someone somewhere would be like, that's racist. Like, why? Because I thought a black person looked like Michael Jordan because he does. Like I get it. I get that shit. Like we all have at some point in times in our lives. And so it's not if it's in malice. Racism is hatred. If someone idolizes someone of color or someone who's not of color, and someone looks like them, that person that you idolize, you know, that in my opinion, it's flattering. It's flattering. Growing up, that's how it was. We did not we racism truly. I don't think it's taught. Racism isn't taught. It's fucking you're indoctrinated with it. Like it's racism. Racism would not nearly be as bad as it is now if it wasn't for social media, the liberal news, and everything that all your devices that are connected, like everything. I mean, watching Hulu and the little ads in between for their little commercials, like everything is, support black businesses or buy from black businesses and buy from this and that. And it's like, what they're doing. You're creating division because it's not just white people who are like, Jesus, here we go. I mean, I know so many other friends of color of different ethnicities who are just so over it because people just want to fucking just decompress. Can we just have 1 year where this is all good? People aren't snowflake offended. We're just legit, just, hey, what's up? Because I mean, I have so many friends of different backgrounds. I have so many. My girlfriend's Hispanic. I have plenty of friends who are black. I have plenty of friends who are Asian. I have plenty of friends. I have Samoan friends. I have Tongan friends, Pacific Islander friends. Man, I have Jewish friends. I have friends. I mean, I have friends all over the world. And just because it's almost like you automatically tagged with this, you're disqualified because you're white, so therefore you have no opinion because you're not ethnic. Yes, I am. We all are. Every single person is. Just because one might be from a majority from where you live does not mean that they are not ethnic or, they have no ethnicity. If I move to Norway, or Sweden, I'm not going to start demanding that they have more, of a certain race in their TV shows. Or I'm not going to move to an area that has a predominant ethnicity that's different than mine, and immediately demand that they have more of me in their TV shows or in their movies or whatever. No, I'm not going to do that. It's there's just a lot of madness going on. In my opinion, racism is just true hatred and malice. It's pure hate. It is they do not want you living, like legitimately living. Like they like in my mind, actual racism is Adolf Hitler. Is someone who's like has a freaking chart and they're like trying to map out like how they're gonna exterminate and extinguish that race. That's what I think. In terms of racism, we've used the term so loosely, and we've tagged it on everything. Oh, that's racist. That's racist. No, I mean, I think there's profiling that people do. People make judgments off of the color of people's skin. But I don't think, when it comes to actual racism, in my opinion, in Michael's opinion, it's a true form of hate. You know, like the hate in its purest form is racism, in my opinion. Is like true. I want you to die. Hate. You know, you do not deserve to be living amongst us type thing. You know, I don't believe, you know, if again, going back to when I was in high school and everyone was just so stoked that we had like the All Reds. Like it was awesome because everyone idolized, you know, like at that time, you know, in the 90s, you know, mid 90s in Salt Lake City, Utah, you know, we had the Utah Jazz. That was probably the most the most collective congregation of African Americans in one given spot in all of Utah, which was probably in the Delta Center or the Salt Palace, you know, whatever it was called back in those days. You know, and that's a true statement. And everyone idolized, like everyone wanted to be. I remember playing 21 with my buddy Craig Roberts. You know, we'd be out or doing dunk contests, and I'd be like, "I'm Michael Jordan. I'm wearing 23," and you're like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll be Magic Johnson." You know, because everyone wanted to be Michael because he was cool and hip. You know, he was awesome. You know, like you would call out numbers of who you were, and no one ever was like, "I'm John Stockton." Bless his heart. Maybe some people or Jeff Hornacek, you know, or whatever. No, like, you know, everyone always. I mean, I had a Deion Sanders jersey. I have a Michael Jordan poster that I've had since the '90s. That's right over here on my wall. You know, like, no. If you were racist, you wouldn't have that. You'd be like, no, it's black. No, get that shit off there. No. You know, so I think a lot of people of ethnicity, I think people become opportunistic in terms of, you know, and I'm going to call out some friends of mine, you know, or even not friends of mine, just what I've seen. I think what's happened with the whole racial injustice movement that's going on is people, you know, found it to be opportunistic to where they're like, how can I make money off of this? This gives me, you know, it's a bandwagon that people are jumping on, kind of like the Cowboys fan base, or not the Cowboys fan base, but the Patriots fan base back in the day, now Tampa Bay. But if you're a Cowboys fan, man, more power to you now because you guys suck. The Cowboys suck, not you suck. But it gave people like a fabricated cause. It gave people this notional fake cause of, yes, we have something we can clamor to right now. All because mainstream media is trying to glorify it and trying to make it like this thing, you know, where you know, like people, you know, people who weren't doing anything, you know, much with their lives prior to it. Now, in terms of, you know, they're like, how do I become relevant? Oh, I can go join that. I have some, you know, somewhere. Let me do my genealogy real quick. Okay, cool. I can be a part of that. I can be you know, a freaking, oh my gosh, Elizabeth Warren, you know, or something like that, and just claim to be something and be a part of a cause. The cause is this. The cause is propaganda that is being perpetuated via the mainstream media. That is the fight that we should all be fighting against right now. We should not be fighting one another because it's just going to create more division, and that's going to create hate. And that's what's going to cause the division. The division isn't, in my opinion, the racism right now. The division is people are pissed off at people who are who continuously claim racism. And it's like, Jesus Christ, shut up. No, I don't like you, not because of the color of your skin, but because you're trying to exploit the color of your skin because you want to be relevant. When, you know, be a contributing member to society, and that's all we ask. That's all any of us want in life. You know, this whole every single day you turn on the TV, you flip open stupid Facebook or anything like that, and it's just like, here we go again, you know. So this is my daily rant. But hey, like it or not, whatever. I told you these things would start to get a little bit more, I guess, brash or harsh or whatever. I don't know. Take it how you will. But in my opinion, you're being offended is a choice. So stop choosing to be offended. Just stop. You know, I'm telling you, you will be less stressed out in your life. If you're using this thing to get money, then hey, more power to you in that terms, I guess. Hey, capitalism at its best, right? But I think that's a shitty way to get money. But if that's your thing, and then you're trying to sell T-shirts or some bullshit that say whatever on it, and that's like literally your only reasoning behind it, then there is, like I said, there is actual racism. There is people who want those people, different ethnic groups dead, and they don't want them advancing in society. And yes, that's a fight that everyone collectively needs to fight against. But right now, I think the bigger threat is the mainstream media and the way in which, like, Facebook, the way in which Instagram, those headsheds, Twitter, and all that continuously push that there is racial injustice, that it is a thing. When in my opinion, it's a numbers thing. If we put online every single day, uploaded online every single day, body cams of police officer interactions. I mean, for every one police involved shooting that we see, and it gets thrown on the news and spread around, there's probably like 10 more out there that, are close to just as bad, that aren't advancing anywhere because of, I guarantee, the color of the pigmentation of the individuals involved. I guarantee that. But, if you look at a white sheet of paper, that's just blank and nothing on it, we're always going to look at the one black dot that's on it instead of the rest of just the blank space. Everyone's going to focus on the one focal point, and that's what that does, is it gets everyone to focus on it's media manipulation. So anyway, this is my 30-minute fucking rant. I'm sorry about that, but I just felt like I had to say something. So hit me up with your comments, man. I mean, I'd like to know whatever side of the house it is. If you think I'm an asshole for my opinion or whatever, hey, that's great. Just tell me what you think. I'd like to know. Tell me, bring something up that's going to be a perspective for me, maybe eye-opening in terms of, oh, okay, I didn't look at it that way. But don't use the response of, well, you're not of this ethnic background, so you'll never understand. Bullshit. Try me. All right. We're all humans, right? We're all on this big blue ball. All right. We're all comprised of the same shit. All right. So, hit me up. Let me know. So this is this is Mike, one Mike out. Go ahead and go like, one Mike out, with the number 1 on Instagram, one Mike out. And then, it's spelt out on the Facebook page, one Mike out. Type it in. I'm sure it'll pop up. And then, YouTube, one Mike out. I also have the podcasts, the Burn Side of Things on, Podbean and iHeart. And so go check those out too. I'm pretty sure you can type in, I'm still figuring it out, but I'm pretty sure you can type in one Mike out and get to it. But that's the Burn Side of Things. But anyway, comment, like, do all that kind of stuff, and help me out, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.